Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thank you for joining us again. So this episode, we are asking the question, are you working as a contractor or are you running a contracting company?
That's right.
What's the difference and what are you doing right now and what are you working towards?
Right.
So we're going to dive deep into that. One thing I wanted to mention before we get going, though, I was watching a TV show. You ever heard of Yellowstone?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Kevin Costner film, or I guess a show. It's
a TV show, yeah.
3 or 4 seasons deep right now. My wife and I were watching it, right? And we were couple days ago watching it. There was a scene where Kevin Costner, who plays like this cattleman, owns this big ranch, and his son is with him in his mid-30s, driving around, checking on the ranch, and he's trying to groom his son into taking over the company.
Right.
They're out. They help deliver a calf, and they're sitting there afterwards looking at the field, and Kevin Costner looks to his son and says, "What do you see right there?" And the son takes a second and says, "I see an animal that I gotta love, feed, and protect. And one day it's gonna feed me." And Kevin Costner shakes his head and says, "That's how a cowboy should see it. But a cattleman sees that as $293 that in 7 months I can sell for $1,100, whether it feeds anyone or not."
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the difference of I see that. And that's that. One scene alone is exactly what we're talking about today.
That's right.
Are you a cowboy? Are you someone saying, okay, I've got this job I got to get done, and if I do this job, I did a good job and I'll get money from it?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you viewing your job sites, are you viewing everything you're doing as a contractor as, yes, this is how I make money off it, this is how we grow it, this is how I duplicate it, this is how we turn this into something that's bigger than what it is. Right? So that's kind of, I saw that and I was like, this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great example.
I like
that a lot.
It's good. So, Jared, starting from the beginning, what do we mean by saying, are you running or are you working as a contractor?
Well, I think working as a contractor, obviously, most of us in the contracting business, this is where we start.
Mm-hmm.
You start at the bottom level and you're working to build up, but you're in the day-to-day. You're working on the company, you're working in the company, you're swinging the hammer, you're on the job sites, you're trading your time on a daily basis to get jobs done and to earn the cash, right? To earn the profit for the jobs that you're doing, and you're constantly going from job to job and place to place, working on the things that are happening on site, whether it's managing a crew or you're actually laying the tile yourself, whatever it is. You're in the company all day long, and there's not a lot of work that's being done for the future growth and development. It's more of a short-term view of today. I need to put food on the table, just like the cowboy. I need to protect and provide for this calf. Because that calf is eventually going to put food on my table, right? And so it's kind of staying in that lane where you're working on a daily basis to put food on the table, put some shoes on the kids' feet, and that's kind of where you stay when you're just working in a company.
Yeah, and when you're working as a contractor, that's right, and that's where it's there. I think the difference from transitioning from working as a contractor into running a contracting company is that still has to happen. You still have to protect that calf. You still have to feed it and grow it. All of the same stuff's happening. You're not changing your focus. That is still, but that becomes a mandatory, understood that has to happen.
If you're not doing that, then you're not providing the product that you're trying to provide for your customer on a daily basis. So those things have to be done.
Yeah. Kevin Costner in that show, he knows exactly how all of his cattle are going to be raised and taken care of, who's in charge of what. And that's all happening really well behind the scenes.
Right.
That can't be his focus. He hires people for that to be the focus. And so what we like to view it as is, one of the things, if you're around us at all, you're going to hear me say, we are building a machine.
That's your favorite thing to talk about.
We're always, as a contractor, I am building a machine, because that machine, if I can get it up and running to where everyone knows their role, there's an instruction manual for each person on each side of the machine, and if we can get that up and running, that machine, you put jobs in one side and money comes out the other.
Yeah.
And so once the machine's built, I'm always tinkering with it.
Right.
And
I think a big piece of that, and this is one of the things that I talk to a lot of the Alliance members about, of why they're doing this, why they're on with us. And it is the reality that this business, unless you are working to build the machine, there's no 401k, there's no retirement plan, and you work until you just can't work anymore.
Yep.
And if you've been good with your finances and set aside money or invested or whatever, maybe you've done a good enough job to actually retire. But most of the time, retirement doesn't come. That's when you see guys that are 60, 70, 80 years old and they're still out there laying tile or still out there painting walls. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a different way to go about it of working to build the machine, and the machine is the thing that allows you on a daily basis to start backing away further and further from the day-to-day of birthing cows and
protecting them,
and protecting them to you have people that you've trained that are the machine to train to deliver who you are and the product that you want and the customer service that you deliver that bring your customers constantly back to you. You've trained people to do that, and you're allowed to back further and further away from that daily stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And then the further you go back, the more you can work on the company and see it from a broader view, eventually working to a place where you can step out and actually retire, and you've still got money coming in.
But Jared, no one can raise cattle as good as me.
Right.
I can't find anyone that can raise cattle as good as me.
Yeah, well, there's no unicorns out there.
Yeah.
I've looked.
Yeah, and that's the problem is everyone goes out and makes hire. Let's just run with this metaphor the entire podcast. So
that's right.
They want to retire. They want to start growing. I want to get to the next level. I want to take on more jobs. I'm going to go hire that guy who's going to help me raise these cattle. Right. I want more cattle. I want a whole ranch. Right. And so I'm going to hire this guy and I'm going to say, okay, go watch what I do. Now go raise those cattle. Right, and that's not how it works.
Right, and a lot of that type of stuff we go over on the how to hire, who to hire, why, all the videos and podcast stuff that we've got out there on our website. But I think the overarching is, what does that mean? How do I create the machine? How do I go from how do I have somebody else deliver something that I do well, and it's not the follow me around and just do what I do. It's actually looking at what you do on a daily basis and kind of figuring out what is it about me that my clients love. Is it communication? Is it the punctuality? Is it the quality of what I'm delivering? Is it the detail, the price point? What is it? And then figure out how to write those things down and create policies and procedures that help other people. All they have to do is come in and follow the directions of this is how you do these things to get this outcome.
Well, and you don't start tomorrow with a full, 80,000 acre ranch. Right. That's not how you grow a business. You start one spot at a time. Whether we talk ranch or machine, if you're building a machine that's gonna run, there's not just one thing to do. There's 17, 18, 20 jobs for this machine to keep running. Right. And you're not going to have it built by tomorrow. It's not going to be up and running and functioning and I'm on the beach by next summer, right? That doesn't happen.
Right.
What does happen is, okay, I'm going to strategically make my very first hire coming up in 8 months from now. Between now and then, this is what I've got to do to get there, and this is what has to happen, and this is the only job that person's going to do. So I'm taking one of my 12 hats, and I'm going to train this person on exactly how to wear that hat.
That person is going to start turning this lever. Now, there's another 10, 12 levers that I'm still running. I take the phone call. I, deliver customer service and communicating and starting the beginning of the job and working with them on an estimate. But I've got another guy that he's the guy that runs the job when it goes to the on-site level. Yeah. So I'm not doing that anymore, but I'm still doing the front end stuff.
But I'm really good at turning that lever. So what I'm going to want to do is say, move, Jared, I'm going to keep running that lever right here. Just watch me and do it when it's an easy time to do it.
Right.
But instead saying, I trust you, and if you're not doing it right, I'm going to stand over you, help you do it until you can do it as good or not better than me.
Right.
And so that's that again, we're kind of jumping back and forth between the theory of running a company and actually the actual how-tos
Right.
of doing it. But I think it's a mindset that it's very easy for some guys and difficult for other guys to get into. And so it's understanding if you are I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna do all these levers myself, and I'm gonna build this up, and I just got to keep doing more work and I'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. You're probably not as good as a visionary of what that machine needs to look like.
Sure. Yeah.
Let us help you on that.
Uh-huh.
If you're more of a visionary, but you don't know how to actually get the things done, you don't know how to build those manuals for each person pulling each lever on the machine.
Right.
Let us help you with that.
Right.
We got that. And
Well, and we've got some alliance members that we go in and we assess what are they great at, what can they may not be great at, but they can do, and what are the things that they just absolutely like. I'm just horrible at that, and we help them assess. You know what? Why don't you stay here where you're an expert and you're really, really good? You do that, and you need to bring somebody instead of bringing somebody in to be your project manager first. You bring somebody in to help you with the back end books and maybe some of the paperwork and the accounting.
Let's get you organized.
And I've got two guys that I can think of right now that were literally polar opposite. They were good. One guy was really good at the paperwork. He was good at, in the field and estimating and project managing and all that stuff. But he was also really good at the back end, the accounting, the paperwork, communication. He was really good at that stuff. And the direction for him was to hire somebody to start doing and bridging that gap and allowing him to increase his bandwidth on the running jobs level.
Yep.
The other guy had a ton of jobs, but everything was incredibly disorganized because he was horrible at that stuff.
Yep.
And so we directed him to, you need to hire somebody that is organized to come in on the back end of your company and help you with that piece.
Yep.
Because now you don't have to deal with that, which increases your bandwidth to be able to do what you need to do on site.
Yep.
And once that's set up, then you can start looking for your next hire,
Yeah.
which is going to be your project manager or whatever. So it's
Yep.
different
Yep.
for different people of what's best and what is the next best hire for each person. But the whole goal is a step-by-step process of building that machine.
Yeah. I think one of the big parts too, whether you're not looking to hire, you're looking to hire 4 people, wherever you're at, with what you just said, I think the best thing that I ever did in going from a one-man
was hire
show,
me. That's
the second best
There we
thing I
go.
did
Yeah,
after
yeah,
hiring you was I saw the part that I was bad at, and I worked twice as hard at that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not organized.
Which is opposite of a lot of people, because
Yes.
a lot of people see the thing they're bad at and they try and, ostrich it and just stick their head in the sand and hope it doesn't exist.
Outwork it, And I think, like I said, seeing that I wasn't organized, I'm not good at that side of things, hiring you, you came in way more organized on stuff, good with the spreadsheets and figuring out, like I'm good with spreadsheets, I'm just not good at organizing how to, keeping it all organized.
Right.
And so I saw that, doubled down on that, but I also had to teach you how to do it, right? Like when you came in, you helped grow it once you learned that part of it, but I still had to push hard and, okay, I'm going to be organized if it kills me because Jared, I'm showing him the ropes right now and he needs to see that and know how, if it was organized perfectly, it would go.
Right.
So pushing into what you're not good at and working twice as hard as that, I think was what eventually built the software and started growing, because we had to write it all down because it didn't naturally happen in my brain.
Right.
And then you came in with your skills and made it. Well, what if we did this? That's great. Just get it done. That's great. You're in charge of that.
I think one of the ways that I look at that is, for you, that was difficult. It was hard. It required more effort on your part and more intentionality to stay on top of that. Yeah. But you realized that was a short-term investment of time that your ROI on was going to be tenfold easy.
Yep.
But it had to be invested. Yep. You had to put the time into that, for one, to be able to understand it enough to transfer it to me to be able to run it and take it to another level, right? And so I think that's one of the cool things of the way that we've learned to look at it is like sometimes I got to do the things that I really don't want to do, but if I do it for a period of time, I'm not going to have to do it any longer because that period of time is an investment into my retirement plan. And every moment that I spend working on my company, working to build this machine, is an investment into my retirement.
Yep. And I now can manage the person that I hire to do that job. I now can understand what you're going through and say, no, that's not going to work because of this. That's not going to work because that works really well.
Yeah.
And so doing that job and experiencing it and learning it better than I would have normally by forcing myself to do it allowed me to manage you in it and allow you to be better at what you're doing because you got feedback from the other side.
Right. And honestly, that's a mentality that I took a long time ago when I was in the banking industry and they wanted me to come in as a manager. And I said, no. They put me in as a teller. I want to learn how to do that stuff before I manage them so I know how to help them do what they're doing and do it better.
Yeah. So if you're looking to get to the next level, if it's something that is, listen, I'm not ready to hire, I'm not even close to that, or I've tried hiring and I'm out of money, I need cash roll some, or I'm hiring my next 3 people in the next 2 months, whatever.
Or I've hired and they just don't work out.
Yes.
They just keep not working.
We've got a step-by-step guide for it. I mean, you can do it without us. It's not any sort of secret magic. It's what is proven time and time again.
We've made incredible mistakes with this and learned along the way, and we tell you what we learned.
We love sharing that with guys and helping them get to the next level with it. So we'd love to partner with you and help you out with that. But if you're still just running it on your own, what you need to do is figure out what the next step is, right? We always talk about blueprinting. We talk about org chart. Figure out what needs to be done next. You should not be looking at hiring right now if you don't have your books in order.
Right.
There's certain things that have to happen first before third, fourth, and fifth. Most entrepreneurs that we meet are on step 28 and 29 and in their brain, but their company's on step 3.
Right.
And so connecting from step 3 to 27 is the hardest part, and walking and seeing what steps those are.
Right.
We love to walk you through that, but the goal for you, if I can say one thing, would be look at what step 4 is. Don't worry about step 27. I know where we're headed. I know what it's going to be, but there's no need to start looking at resumes of people if I'm still 6 months away from even being able to hire.
If you don't have the building blocks put into place, 27 is not available.
Yep. Don't look into advertising and dropping $1,000 a month on Facebook ads.
If you don't have the staff to be able to handle the work that's going to come in.
There's you got to crawl before you walk and before you run, and it's something that that's my favorite part of this is watching guys going from crawling to running and that growth that it's like that just need a little push thing, and we can help with that.
Well, it's also really fun to sit down and do a blueprinting session either on our winter retreat or a phone call that we do and kind of spell that out for them and help them see what the next steps are and see them start to achieve those and get to the end of the year and they actually exceeded goals that they were trying to get to because they worked on a day-to-day basis. And it wasn't, I've got to do these 95 things right now. It was spreading those things out and organizing them in the priorities. That's right, bite-size, prioritized in ones that need to come before the others. And as they work through that, all of a sudden they look back and like, you know what, I did this and I laid this one brick right here. I don't need to worry about this huge wall and if it's going to get built or not. I just need to lay this one brick. And then I lay the next one and you get to the end of the year and like, holy smokes, like I built this great thing and now let's go to the second wall and the third wall and now I'm starting to build this machine.
Exactly. Well, if this is you, if you want help with this, we'd love to work with you. We love to share, and honestly, we like to do it for free so you can see if it's going to work for you before you try. So if you ever want a blueprinting session with us, we'd love to do it with you. Check us out, ProServeAlliance.com. This feels like it turned into a big ad, but it's not. I mean, it's something that we're passionate about and helping guys grow.
Doing.
And if you want to team up with us, great. If you want to keep getting free content, great too. We want the best for anyone listening to this. So again,
all of our different programs, all of our podcasts and videos, signing up for the winter retreat, all of that stuff is on ProServeAlliance.com. You can check all that stuff out. If you want to see a demo of our software that we've talked about, you can sign up for that on there as well.
Be a cattleman, not
Be
a
a
cowboy.
cattleman. That's right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.